Okay, I guess we are live once again.
Yes,
Back to the
welcome to the second episode.
Yes, the podcast with no name, at least so far. So eventually,
We need to figure that out this week.
yeah, hopefully. Maybe we should explain that we are pre-recording a few episodes before actually going live and actually, posting the first episode.
Yeah, so right
And
now we don't have a name yet.
so yeah, we
We'll
don't have a
figure
name.
that out eventually.
We have a few ideas, but yeah, no, we're not gonna say anything. It doesn't. Honestly, we only have one idea, and it's pretty much meh.
We have plenty ideas. We're well prepared. Like
It's tougher than I
brainstorm
thought.
for a few days.
I have to
Yeah.
be honest. Anyways, eventually, if yeah, I guess we can just start off with the first question. There's not much of an introduction today, which is how did we start with our computer science studies and how was the beginning?
Yeah, I think we should decide if we want the funny or the sad story first, and I think we'll start with a funny story. So that's your part, I guess.
That's my part. I mean, how did it all start? Basically, I finished high school and I did study abroad, or like I went abroad for a year just to improve my English at the time. And I remember everybody around me was planning on doing something with business. And so at the time I thought, okay, sure, yeah, I'll go the same path because I had no idea what to do. Well, at some point, fortunately, a friend of mine who was already studying computer science, he told me that it's actually quite interesting, that it's a lot about technology and just logics and math. And that was pretty much everything that I was looking forward to. So finally, he kind of convinced me to pursue a study in computer science, which I did. And well, it turned out to be a little bit tougher than expected, as for everybody. In fact, I remember like the funniest thing was the first week we had. It was like actually the week before university actually started. We had like this math introductory course. What's the word? Yeah, basically this introduction to math. And so, I remember the very first lecture we had. We were like this dude. He just started writing numbers and like weird signs on the on the blackboard that nobody knew. And like 40 minutes in, or like I'm literally 40 minutes in, he goes like, any questions? And like this dude, he raises his hand and he goes, yeah, would you mind repeating that? And he goes, what exactly?
Well,
well, everything.
I mean, it makes sense if you never heard of it.
Yeah, in fact, the dude.
Also, like the signs are so confusing at the beginning. Like honestly, like all the Greek letters and shit. That's tough.
That was so tough. But we didn't learn any of that in high school, so that was all new to me. I remember like seeing I called it the reversed A at the time. Like, what the hell is that? What does that do? What the fuck? That's super complicated. And oh, by the way, the dude that asked the post the question, he dropped out within the next 2 weeks.
Well, kind of makes sense, to be honest.
But it was to be fair though, like he was the only one at the time bold enough to ask that question.
Yeah,
because
no one
if
had
we're
had a
completely
clue,
honest,
yeah.
no one in the entire room understood any of the things that were presented.
He took the bullet.
He took the bullet, yeah. But
Took one
yeah,
for the team.
Over time, I guess it became, or it didn't become easier, but I started understanding things, and
yeah,
and
I think
like
you start to deal with it, kind of. You can handle it at some point.
Yeah,
so
exactly. You
complicated,
understand. Like the most important thing is at some point you understand that it is not always important to understand everything. It's fine if you don't get things immediately, and sometimes it's even fine if you don't get things at all. you will never understand everything that they will present to you.
Yep, that's true. That's true. At some point, you understand that you will understand eventually, and I think this confidence is
Yes.
already enough to like be less stressed. Yeah, but that's like actually like you went to the introductory course because like I was in holidays when the course when the course started, so I gotta skip that one. And then I kind of got into it too because of Nico, because I was kind of clueless too. Wanted to go to business school. Actually wrote a letter. They didn't like I wanted to apply. They didn't let me in. They didn't take me, which was great. Which was fine. It was perfect in hindsight. And then yeah, I started in a different university, and I kind of loved everything about it except university. So what I did in my free time, like coding and videos I watched and math, everything was really really good. But I kind of hated uni, and all my friends there were from pretty far away. Like they were sometimes driving 2 or 3 hours to get there.
But wait, I'm sorry.
Um,
Just a short
so no one,
short
yeah,
interruption. It's not. It was not uni itself that you hated, but it was the university, right? Like as
yeah,
far
yeah,
as I
the
remember.
university, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
this
Like
like specific
that specific
university,
university.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was horrible, and like all my friends were like 2 or 3 hours away, so we would basically never meet in uni. We would see for the classes, go home, and then study alone, kind of. And it was really really annoying. I needed to like drive there 1.5 hours every day, the least, sometimes longer, like in rush hour. Yeah, and then I was kind of disencouraged, but I still had the feeling that I really liked the topics, like the topics in general. It was just wrong with the university. So I changed to a different place, actually to my hometown, which was quite odd that I didn't start there right away. Um, I even had two friends doing computer science in my hometown, which I then joined. And since then, I really enjoy university because it's like I never thought it can be that different. Like it's the same, like it's both computer science, right? And it's only like 60 kilometers away, but the teaching and everything is completely different. The people are so much nicer. You can get bonus points if you get good grades in assignments and everything. It's really, really great. So it kind of turned from annoying and frustrating to really good. Yeah.
But actually, it's true. I completely agree with that. It makes a huge difference on the university, like where you do your studies. Because, for example, I mean, now I've attended three different universities, and well, the first one was Humboldt University in Berlin, and well, overall, I had a good time and I had some good subjects, but it is very theoretical. Like most of the subjects are basically just theory, and there's not a lot of coding involved, and so that kind of bothered me at some, especially like towards the end. It was a little bit too much, and then I did a study abroad, and I went to the U.S. I was able to I got a scholarship to study at NYU, and there on the other hand I had a completely different experience. First of all, the people like or the professors seemed a lot more involved and a lot more interested in their students. That had a huge impact. But the biggest point, or like the biggest selling point for me at least, was that it was much more practical work and there was much more coding involved at the time. And so like, and it wasn't even like just coding, but they found like this perfect mix out of, learning the actual theory and the actual theoretical approaches to, for example, solve a problem, but it also included the actual implementations, and that had a huge impact. Now I know that going to NYU costs $25,000 a semester, and not everybody can afford that. In fact, I also just got a scholarship, but for my master's, then I went to Technische Universität Berlin, and also there I had a completely different experience than from my bachelor's, because all of a sudden well, on the one hand, it was my master's, so I was kind of able to decide myself what the direction I wanted to go to. But I also saw that the subjects that they had were, first of all, much broader, and also when interacting with professors, at least so far, I feel like I I saw a lot more enthusiasm, uh, and that made a huge difference to me, at least, and that's why, like, I actually started loving university and like going to uni. And well, technically I didn't go to uni because I started in the online semesters during
Yeah.
COVID. But
Well,
I really started to love or enjoy taking classes again, because it's a lot more fun again, and I'm actually doing something I'm really interested in, and I'm eager to learn new things.
but I think in general it's a little bit different with masters because like a lot of the times the classes you have in the master's degree is the stuff the like teaching assistants or professors actually are interested in and they're currently also researching. And like a lot of the times the stuff you do in bachelor's degree is just the annoying courses they need to do because they're professors. Someone gotta do them, but they're not really that interested into them. And the real spicy stuff comes into the in masters. So obviously they're more enthusiastic there because they can do what they are passionate about. I think that's one thing. And like the another thing is like maybe you have something to like comment on that. But I had a lot of friends of mine who are also in the masters. They had literally the same professors they had in bachelors who were horrible, have horrible lectures in bachelors, really really boring, just reading from the slides, making the best lectures, really enjoying entertaining lectures in their masters classes. So
Well, it's hard to say for me because I changed universities after my bachelor,
yeah,
so
true.
I cannot. It's kind of hard for me to comment on that. I mean, yeah, eventually you're right. I mean, I guess like there's no professor right now that can intervene or something, but your argument from before makes kind of sense that it become like it's more like a task for professors to do like some bachelor classes, or like classes for like a
Yeah,
bachelor degree, because
it's more a chore
it's
basically.
more of a chore, exactly, because it's the easy stuff, it's the boring stuff, at least in their eyes. It's something they've been doing for 10, 15, 20, sometimes even longer years. And so yeah, it makes sense, but I guess I cannot really comment on that. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. It's not that everything was boring. Not at all. Actually, I quite enjoyed the first 3, even 4 semesters of uni, like during my bachelor's. I guess at some point, especially when I got towards the end, it's not that it became repetitive, but it just felt like, okay, I'm kind of done with theory stuff now. Like I'd like to like actually put my knowledge into practice, and like implement whatever I've learned
Yeah.
in
Yeah, but it's
any
also
kind of
quite
area.
interesting. Like maybe that shows like that really, if you are studying something, you shouldn't maybe get discouraged by the topic itself. Maybe you're just at the wrong spot. For example, like you're I hear from you like you really like the practical part, right? You really like doing the stuff. For me, it was kind of the opposite because I was like working, and I always had this thing that when I also had to code in a class, which mostly is in a new language, you need to learn new stuff, you need to set things up. You can't use your normal IDE. They want to have it in a weird format. Sometimes they don't even use Git. I was always kind of annoyed, and I was really happy about the classes I took where I just had theory, or I could hand in my assignments in LaTeX and didn't need to write code because I was writing code like 3 days a week, anyways. So I think you kind of really need to think before, like, maybe that's even the point I want to make. Like, studying computer science is not the same. It can be a really, really different experience. Sometimes really, really theoretical, sometimes more practical. And you kind of need to be aware what you like and kind of choose by that, I feel like.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, for a while, like I've at least for one specific semester, I've been in the exact same situation. That was my first semester during my masters. I was already working for like a year or something at the time, and I remember 2 of the classes I was taking, was one of them was called economics and computation. Basically, this is a lot about economic games, and like it's all theoretical games, and basically a lot of math. And another one was called automatic image analysis. Uh, it's basically, that one is to like both of them, that were like, or included a lot of math, a lot of theoretical stuff. And even then, like, even though I was working on the side, like I those classes felt much more like a chore to me, because it's just, like, I was kind of like, it got to a point by now, like, that I'm kind of done with doing all of this theory. I love to work, I really do, and I love my job. I'm fortunate enough to say that, and I love to code, and I guess, you know
It always
uh,
comes down to personal preference,
I
obviously.
guess in the end, it's like
I
a personal,
yeah.
yeah, exactly, personal preference, and I personally do not want to, like, get into that kind of stuff any longer. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. No, 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 absolutely not. But I'm just saying, like, for me, I guess it's not the correct path, at
Yeah,
least
my
not
point was
anymore.
just like, maybe if someone theoretically would listen, who would think like, "Oh, dude, I hate computer science. Everything's so theoretic." It's like, yeah, there are universities you could go to, or maybe switch to software engineering instead of computer science, where it's more practical. And if someone's like, "Yeah, I kind of like math more. I have code on the side anyways." Like, the point is, like, computer science isn't the same everywhere. Like, you can choose, basically, you can choose your classes, but you can also choose the approach your general university takes. For example, like the first uni where I was normally they do a lot of engineering, and computer science was basically a side product of that. So you had a lot of courses in like IC, like circuit design, electronics and stuff like that, physics, a lot of that, and really, really little courses on practical stuff or like theory. So that's also a reason why I switched, because I don't like that. But there's really differences.
That's actually a really good point. And in retrospect, now that I think about it, I think, like, for any person that wants to study computer science, the best thing they can do is actually, especially when if they want to study in a bigger city and they have multiple universities, maybe just take a look at the classes they're offering. Usually, these classes are available on the website, or like on the uni website. And I don't know, just check what you might be interested in and whatnot, because
Yeah, and
there
also
are like,
potentially reach out.
yeah, absolutely. Eventually, you can also there's always someone you can talk to, and there are like a lot of also, like, groups, for example, on Facebook or any other social media platform, where you can talk to someone. And I think that's very helpful, because then you can actually find the university that will best suit you.
Or even the Fachschaft, what's the English word? I can't
The
remember right now. Basically, a group of students that like organizes stuff for other students and helps you out. Like, at my uni, they have their separate website where you can hand in questions. They have FAQ sessions on Discord where you can, like, for the people like that think about getting into the studies. So you can post your questions there, talk to people that actually study in a higher semester at the university you would want to go to, and that could be really, really helpful,
Yeah, it's
in my
basically
opinion.
the student body of the faculty. And yes, I just looked this up.
Okay. Okay. I saw you like getting out your phone, and I was stalling my answer. I was like, give him time.
Exactly. um, yeah, but eventually we could, like, get a little bit into what we've been doing so far. I think it's an interesting question, because I think we went into slightly different directions. Yeah, maybe you can start what you've done so far,
Yeah,
or
sure.
like tell people what you've
So
done so
far,
far.
like, obviously the basic stuff. Like, we have this thing. It's like basically the basic exams. You need to pass those before the third semester, and it's math 1, 2, so linear algebra. I don't even remember. Like, it's math one,
Analysis.
two,
We had analysis
exactly.
as the second one.
Analysis. Then we have Informatic 1, which is basically a functional programming language, and Informatic 2, which is object oriented. Yeah, we had Java. Exactly. And then you also need to have a theory of technical informatic or computer science, which is electroengineering introductory course, and a little bit of logic. So those were the things everyone needs to do. And after that, I kind of like the algorithm path. Like my favorite course was introductory to algorithms. And then from there on, I like last semester I finished all my classes I needed to take. We have those things where you need to do one of three, but you can choose the topic, right? So you need to do one from theoretical computer science, one from practical, and one from electrical engineering side. I have those done now, and now I will continue to do quite a bit of probabilistic theory and yeah, cryptography, probably. Yeah, and introductory courses to machine learning.
Yeah, actually, it's funny because introduction to what was it exactly? I think it's introduction to
Yeah,
algorithms, right? Something like that, or
yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. So
It's also like advanced data structures. So you do basic algorithms
yeah,
and some
it was
data
something
structures.
like
So what's
that.
a
Yeah,
hash
that was
tree and shit like that.
yeah, that was
Yeah,
actually my favorite topic too. So yeah, we basically what you do is you try to find the most effective algorithm to solve. For some reason, it started Siri. It yeah, Siri just started. Oh, I'm sorry. I
okay,
apologize.
help.
No, basically you
She
have
hears
to
algorithm and goes off.
you you have to find the most effective algorithms to solve any problem. For example, if you have the most common example is you have 10 numbers from 1 to 10 in some kind of a list, and you have to order them so that you have the smallest number on the left side and the highest number on the right side. So in that case, it would be from basically the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. In case you have 10 numbers, and so you have to find an algorithm that sorts these numbers in the fastest and most effective way. And that's what you do during like in this class, and it's actually quite theoretical, but it was one of the most important interesting ones, and well, in retrospect also one of the most important ones. um, you will be like anybody that ever applied for a job in in IT, or like
Yeah,
like
basic
or
job
wanting to become
questions.
a coder, like that becomes a basic job question. Exactly. They will ask you that quite frequently, like to solve like some kind of a problem. um, but yeah, I really enjoyed that class. Absolutely. And it's in fact I did a second class where it was I did that back during my study abroad, and that one was quite intense because I remembered like the we had to for exams, like for the midterms and for the final exam, we had like I think 4 problems or something that we had to solve, and
Hmm.
we had to write our code, and we had to copy and paste that code onto their website, and it would automatically see if the code would run
Oh yeah.
in a certain time. And for example, it would give us 1 second to solve an issue, a problem, and we would get an input that would be like quite huge, like in the hundred thousands or something. And the brutal thing about it was that basically there was a leaderboard that everybody could see,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
so
So if
during
you're
the
trash, you're
exam,
trash.
like yeah, exactly, like the only good thing about it, like it didn't say the name, but like you could see like how well the other people were doing. And and the thing is, like, there was only a right or wrong, so like there was no, well, you tried so you'll get like half of the points. No, you had to like get everything correctly, like your output of your code had to be perfect. And that was really tough, but like a lot of fun actually. And I know from like some friends that like study with me at the time, like that class helped them a lot during like future interviews. So if anybody that's listening right now is thinking about ever taking one of those classes, please do, because that will help you a lot. But anyways, back to the previous question. What did I do? I did like those basic classes, just as Constantine said. It was a lot of theoretical computer science and like logics, stuff like that. All those math classes. I think I did something with what was it? Not not computer vision, but what's the other one? When basically when you work with OpenGL, when you do like
Grafische
oh yeah,
Datenverarbeitung.
basically yeah, like
Gra-
geez, graphics, yeah, stuff like that, like
yeah,
graphical. What was it
it's
called?
basically computer graphics.
Computer
It's
graphics.
computer
Thank you,
graphics.
thank you.
Yeah.
That was the word I was looking for.
Yeah. I did that thing last semester. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
But
that
it was
was
C++.
quite
plus plus.
interesting.
That's
Yeah, like did some web designing classes. But like those I did during my study abroad. Um, and yeah, I had a few projects, but like I mean, basically during your bachelor's, you kind of take a look at everything there is and learn a little bit out of it. It becomes much more interesting during your masters. In fact, during one semester, like the one of the coolest things I've did was when I first started working with machine learning. We got our hands on a lot of X-ray images from the lungs, and we had to classify, or like in our specific group, we had to classify these images of lungs as a patient that had COVID, or a patient that was healthy, or a patient that had pneumonia, and that was really fascinating actually. And in fact, I liked like the whole topic of machine learning so much that I kept working on it even in the past semester. I did another web development class where we had to write or create a website that had a bot that would help you to make decisions for a fantasy soccer league. Um, so in the end, like if in retrospect, if I look at my whole studies, I guess I tended to go a little bit into a web development direction. Um, However, it's also like important to mention that whatever you do in uni is not necessarily what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Not at all. In fact, I work in app development now, and all of that I just learned by myself because it was all self-taught.
yeah. I think what you can like, if you have a clear vision, what you want to do, obviously in your bachelor's, take what you like. I kind of try to do that now that I've kind of figured out what I want to do. But I think it should really be used to like look at everything and find out what you like, basically. So you can do that in the master's. So you shouldn't be too like confined with your thoughts. Like I'm gonna do machine learning, and I will only do machine learning and AI introductory courses. I will not look at anything else. I think that would be a stupid thing to do, because like maybe you're interested in something else you don't even know yet. So yeah, you would really miss out, I feel like.
In fact, I would even say that you should use your studies exactly for that kind of matter, for to actually be able to look into other areas. Because if there's one thing I've learned throughout my time at work, at least, is that as a coder, as a computer scientist, you will never be required to only know that one specific thing. They always kind of want you to be able to do everything, at least a little bit. So if we stay, for example, even just in web development, nobody is looking just for a front end, like someone that just knows how to like do a front end. You will all like it's
Maybe at
always
huge companies, but like it's rare.
But yeah, but still, it's a huge plus if you also know a little bit about the back end. If you know a little bit about deployment, if you know a little bit about whatever. So it's always important to broaden your horizon a little bit and eventually look into other areas as well, because you never know when this kind of information might come in handy for you. And also what Konstantin said, like it eventually you might even find some kind of area that you might be more interested into than previously expected.
Yeah, for example, I was at the beginning, like when I was on the different university and I was like not feeling the best, I hated math. I really disliked it. And right now, like theoretical stuff and math is kind of one of my favorite things to do and to choose also for the next semesters. Yeah, but to like kind of round things up, we had originally prepared another question for today, but like I just looked at the timer and we're above 30 minutes. So
Yeah,
I'd
I
say we
was
could
actually
maybe do
saying the
that in the
same
next
thing.
episode.
Yeah, absolutely. But this was actually a very interesting conversation. I yeah I loved. I completely forgot about like a lot of the topics that, or like at least I never looked at in retrospect at all of the topics that I ever took. So eventually, if you're studying as well right now, I can highly suggest to you to do the same thing, and maybe also remember like some of the things that you might have forgotten by now.
Yeah, true. They will always come in handy. Like there will be this one weird day at work where you're like, and your boss asks, "Who can do this? Who did that before?" And you will be the one saying, "Oh yeah, I did that once. I can't do it, but I will try it." And then you're there, basically.
I agree. Oh, and if I would like to like finish this podcast by saying one thing.
Mhm.
If at some point you're sitting in a class and you feel like you're asking a really stupid question, I can promise you 80 other people in that aula or in that room will think the exact same thing, and they will be
Maybe even the
thankful
professor
that you
himself.
asked. Exactly, and they will be thankful for you to ask that question. So show some balls and ask questions.
Yeah. I'm
Always.
adding this really short, real quick. Sometimes the professors actually hope for people to ask questions, right? It's not like sometimes they want that because then they can elaborate. It's not that they don't want questions and they think you're stupid as hell if you ask. Sometimes they hope for someone to ask it so they can elaborate because they know more than one will not understand it.
All right. Thank you very much.
All right,
See you next
thanks
time.
for listening and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.